What's going on, y'all? So this week I wanted to switch it up a little bit and talk about something that we don't normally talk about here on the channel, and that is Steven Universe. So for those of you who may have never watched it before, Steven Universe is a cartoon that aired on Cartoon Network beginning in 2013, and it follows our titular character, Steven Universe. Steven's your average 13-year-old. He likes to play video games, he likes to eat cookie cakes, and he likes to save the world on occasion. Okay, Steven's not a typical kid. Although his father is a human, his mother was part of an alien race known as the Gems, who hail from the planet Homeworld. Or at least it's called Homeworld. I don't remember if it had like its own name or not, but that's what they called it. So gems have a wide range of abilities that include shapeshifting and forming a weapon that's unique to them. And it actually comes from their gemstone, which is the core of who they are. Their actual bodies are just projections of light. Over the course of the show, what we see is Steven trying to navigate becoming a young man going through his teenage years while also trying to deal with the deep dark secrets that his mother had that unfortunately come back to bite him on several occasions. Steven's mother is not in the show because she had to give up her physical form for Steven to be born in the first place, which is another huge point of contention throughout the show because everyone is literally grappling with the fact that Rose is not here. She was their leader, and Greg, who is Steven's father's case, that was his lover, that was the love of his life, and everyone is now having to adjust to this new reality where they have this beautiful little ball of energy in Steven, but they no longer have their precious rose quartz. In 2015, Cartoon Network started to air new episodes in blocks that they called Stevenbombs. Now, just in researching, Stevenbombs comes from an episode called Garnet's Universe, where at the beginning of the episode, Steven jumps down on Garnet from like the ceiling or something, and they call it him Stevenbombing her. So, it was very fitting. Now, during these Stevenbombs, Cartoon Network would air one new episode of Steven Universe a night for 1 week. Now, sometimes they would do 2 episodes, which we'll kind of get into later on, but as a general rule, it was 1 episode per night for 5 days. Now, I personally remember when the Stevenbombs would air, we would sometimes not get a new episode for like a month afterwards. And that's the memory I have of it. And just in trying to research for the video and trying to find out how people felt about it, I saw several Reddit users who were hot that they were doing that because they felt like it took away from the show because you were getting these huge bursts of episodes and then nothing. But then I also found some other people who liked the format because it felt like they were actually binging the show. Now, I'll be very honest with you and let you know that this video is not intended to be like a history lesson on the Stevenbombs. It's not intended to be something where we do some deep dive into what they were and how they affected the show. The point of this video is to talk about the actual episodes in the Stevenbomb, what I think about them, give you some commentary, give you my thoughts, and then, hopefully we can make it a series of all of them. So let's roll that intro real quick and we'll get into the discussion.
It's the power of G. What we doing, come and see. Making bold comments on movies and on TV.
So before we get started, I just want to remind y'all that if you like the video, if you like what you see, then go ahead, leave a like, maybe leave a comment, and then share it with a friend. Who knows? And subscribe to the channel because it'll help me so much. Now, the very first Stevenbomb aired from March 9th to the 13th of 2015. I can't believe it's been a decade. It actually blows my mind that it has been 10 years since that happened. We are in 2025. Girl, anyway, if I get hung up on that, I promise you we'll be here all night. So the episodes included in this Stevenbomb were Rose's Scabbard, The Message, Political Power, The Return, Jailbreak, and Full Disclosure. From what I could find, there were 2 of the episodes that aired the same night, and then Full Disclosure, they aired they had to pull it up so it could be part of that. And I wasn't watching it at that point in time. I'll be 100% honest with you. I was kind of late to Steven Universe because I watched some of the first season and thought this is way too childlike for me. But then once I actually got into it, I realized the Steven Universe is a really deep show that works hard to establish its lore, to give its characters depth, and everything has some sort of symbolism to it. So before we discuss what I think about the episodes, let's do a quick little summary of the episodes and what the Stevenbomb actually consisted of, because it accomplished a lot. So in Rose's Scabbard, the gems are giving Steven a tour of a previous battlefield where a big gem battle happened. Gem battle, like the gems, not like the gem, like on the, you know what I'm saying. Garnet does not like the place. She has no positive associations from it. But what we see from Pearl is that she is completely willing to put all of that to the side so that she can frame it as a victory for Rose. That's how her mind is working. And while they're there, they find Rose's scabbard for her sword. And then Steven reveals that he knows where the sword is. And so once he shows them the sword inside of Lion, Pearl is very upset because she realizes that Rose kept secrets from everybody, including her. She already knew that she kept secrets from people, but she always felt like she was the one that knew the deep, dark secrets. And if you know why, then you know why. What we essentially watch this episode, though, is Pearl crashing out. Like, there's no other way for me to put it. She is completely, gone in the brain when she realizes that Rose was keeping secrets from her as well. To the point where she even throws in Steven's face that he never met Rose. Which is, the ultimate kind of everybody was aghast. Everybody was like, wait, why would you say that to that boy? So Pearl goes to the previous spot where she and Rose had a very important conversation. Steven follows her. And the two of them are able to kind of move past it a little bit. And he's able to allow her to tell her this more victorious story about Rose. So she can kind of process everything that's happening in her brain. In the message, they have this thing called a wailing stone that they would use to receive messages from other gems and from Homeworld. And it's just making this horrible noise. It is making this it's just yelling and screeching. It's just horrible. Steven has the idea to take it to Greg because Greg is a sound man. He does music. This is what he does. And when he ultimately fails, of course, Pearl goes in on him saying that his technology couldn't have possibly done anything with gem technology. Because it's actually supposed to be a voice rather than just sound, Steven and Greg figure out that it's video and not just audio. And through that, they get a message from Lapis Lazuli telling them that a gem is coming to Earth to get them. She is worried, she's concerned, and she is letting them know this person is coming, they're bringing reinforcements, y'all in some trouble. In political power, the gems are trying to get ready to go up against whoever is coming to Earth. And in the quest to figure something out, Pearl creates this machine that's supposed to diffuse these robots, right? But in the process of doing that, she knocks out the power in Beach City. So she doesn't know whether it's going to be back on in a day. She doesn't know whether it's coming back on at all. She has absolutely no idea. And so the people in Beach City are, understandably getting kind of agitated and upset. The mayor is not handling it well at all. He just wants them he's trying to tell them sweet lies to soothe them. And Steven is seeing that and realizing something doesn't feel right about this. I don't like this. This is not my gig. Steven realizes that the gems are hiding something from him because they don't want him to know everything that's happening with Peridot. They do not want to tell him this whole situation is going down. But eventually he gets to the point where he tells them, y'all need to tell me this. And they share with him what's finna happen with Peridot. Because they have been trying to strategize this whole time, but they want to keep him from it. And as they finally tell him and they finally connect with him, the lights come back on. So in the return, we actually get a hand ship that is above Earth and it's coming down. It's pointing at them, letting them know, y'all, I'm coming for you. So they pull out all the stops. They pull out Rose's light cannon. They get Opal to try to throw her arrows at it. Nothing is working. And they let everyone know that they need to evacuate Beach City. So, of course, Steven doesn't want to leave. But the gems convince him that he needs to go. Because, he's a kid. And he needs to stay safe. But the way Garnet frames it, and she does a really good job at it, is that he has motivated them to keep fighting for Earth. And so now he needs to be a leader and a voice for the humans of Beach City. But in the car ride there, Greg is starting to tell him about the war. He's learning information that he's never known before. And he finds out that the only thing that kept Garnet, Amethyst, Pearl, and Rose safe was Rose's shield. So when he hears that, he realizes that the shield is the only thing that can protect them. So, of course, Steven chooses to go back to help his family because that's who the gems are. They're his family. And Peridot lands and she brings Jasper and Lapis Lazuli. Oh, baby. Jasper reads them down for filth. She says this is what's left of Rose's team. A lost defective Pearl. A tiny undercooked runt. And this shameless display as she points at Garnet. Girl, you could have bought me for a penny. Jasper doesn't even think that it's worth her being there until she sees that Steven has Rose's shield. At which point she's like, gotta take him back to Yellow Diamond. But before she does that, she uses something that literally breaks Garnet apart. Like, there are pieces of Garnet falling off. It was very disturbing to see. Like, her arm was coming off. Girl, it was Jailbreak sees Steven wake up with a black eye. Jasper literally gave his boy a black eye. But anyway, so Steven wakes up. He realizes that he's in this cage. And he puts his hand out and he can go through it. But it looks like it kind of hurts him, but he can still go through. So he goes, and as he's going, he tries to go help this gem that he meets. And the gem is tiny and red. And she says, wait, how are we going to get out because of the force field? Because she's confused. How did you get out? And she's clearly upset because she has to get back to Sapphire, whoever Sapphire is, right? And Steven shows that he can put his hand through there. And it's like, oh, okay, all right, cool. So this gem is very busy. This gem is very all over the place. They go to help Lapis, but Lapis says if we just calm down, do what they say, then maybe they'll go easy on us and we won't have to deal with this. Now, the whole time there's been a gem humming, and Steven finds this gem named Sapphire, and she realizes that Steven could get through the field because he's half human. So eventually Sapphire and Ruby reunite, and we realize that these are the components of Garnet. Our Garnet is a fusion. She is not a single gem like everyone else. So Garnet gives Steven a little taste of her future vision so that he can go save Pearl and Amethyst. And while he's doing that, Garnet is fighting Jasper. Jasper does not think that there's any way that Garnet can beat her because you're just a fusion. And fusions are just a cheap tactic for power. That's how Jasper sees it anyway. So after the fight, the ship gets destroyed and it crash lands on Earth on Beach City, right on the mountain where the gem's home base is. And so at this point, Jasper is upset. So she gets Lapis to fuse with her in a bid to try to beat the gems. But she doesn't realize that it was a trap set by Lapis to hold her underwater. And Lapis says that she's sick of being other people's prisoner, and now Jasper is her prisoner. So the gems literally just stand there like confused, mouths open, not knowing what's going on. I forgot to mention that this is also the episode where we get the song Stronger Than You, and it slaps every single time. In the final episode of this Stevenbomb, full disclosure, we see Steven avoiding Connie's call. He is so scared to tell her what happened after he sees the way that Greg flipped out when he found out what happened. He's just trying to protect the people in his life. But eventually Connie finds him and says, listen, just stop trying to protect me. If I want you to protect me, I'll tell you to protect me. Okay, I need to know what happened because I care about you. And he shares with her everything that happened, and she has to process it. It's just so funny, that episode, because Connie is like, girl, anyway, if you don't tell me what happened. So now that we've discussed what happened in the Stevenbomb, I'm going to give you a couple of key points and then we can get into my thoughts about it. The first key point that happens is we start to see Pearl. We understand more about her connection to Rose, how she felt like she was her secret keeper essentially, and how she had an elevated status in her life over everyone else. We also see how much she misses her and how deeply that's affecting her. We see that Greg does not like to disappoint Steven or the gems. Like, he starts to freak out when he realizes that he can't necessarily help them. We see that Lapis is able to get a message to the gems and that she is trying to warn them about what's coming instead of just letting them figure it out on their own. See that the mayor doesn't really have a plan on how to handle anything if something big happens. He just sort of wants to make sure that no one is going crazy and that people aren't rioting in the streets. This is our first introduction to Jasper. Oh, my baby. This is my baby is on the canvas. She is here to play. Steven is starting to learn more about the war. He's starting to learn more about what happened. He's also starting to learn more about his mother's role and the other gems' role, and that everything is not as beautiful and is like down the middle as he thinks it is. Learn that Garnet is a fusion. We already see the building blocks of Jasper wanting more power through fusion and realizing that she does need the help of others, but not really wanting the help of others. Lapis traps Jasper at the bottom of the sea, and we see that Lapis holds a lot of anger for what happened to her. See, Connie assures Steven that he can tell her anything and that she just needs time to process it. And most importantly, we see that Steven can't actually handle things. He just sort of puts it to the back of his mind and moves on in some sort of effort to process it as best he possibly can. Now, that last point brings me to the final part of the video where we'll discuss my thoughts about the Stevenbomb, kind of what I thought about it, and I'll just go through a couple of my, little insights. First and foremost, I'll be 100% honest and tell you I did not care for Steven when I first watched it. Like on my first watch of the show, I could not. He got on my nerves so bad because everything is like he thinks that a hug is going to solve it. He thinks that we can just talk our way through it. And there's so much that unravels in that. Even here, you can see in these episodes that he does not know what to do with what's happening to him, and that he's kind of choosing to just push it to the side a little bit. Even when he thinks that he's protecting Connie by running away from her, not answering the phone, not answering when, she calls, you can see that he doesn't know what to do with it. And he truly thinks that that's the best thing to do. But then when he's face to face with her, he just starts crying. And I think that this arc specifically reminds me that he is in fact a child, because it's so easy to, like, I think sometimes for me, what I would get caught up in is the fact that he's being put in these huge situations. But that's kind of the point, is that he is a child who's being put in these huge situations. There's even a part where Garnet is talking to him and says that he's supposed to help people. It's his destiny because that's what his mother did. And I just thought, like, I think that Garnet was very wise with the way that she spoke to him, but at the same time, that is a lot of pressure to put on a child. That is a lot of pressure to put on him to think that, and you see how he internalizes it. Like immediately when he realizes that the shield is the only thing that protected them from the blast from the diamonds, he immediately goes back because in his mind, the shield is the only thing that can help them. The shield is the only thing that's going to be able to save them. And it's just like, he was right. That's what makes it even worse. It's like he was actually right. So another thing that really stood out to me was kind of the escalation of power, because what we had seen previously was them use the light, Rose's light cannons, and it was like this beautiful display, and oh, look how perfectly it works. And like when they activated, it was 3 of them. They didn't even just use one. They used 3 of her light cannons, and it was just like nothing. Like we're getting the fusions involved and everything else. We're getting Opal back in here, and their power, their individual power is not enough. Some of their fused power is not enough, and you can just kind of see them being like, "Uh-oh." And then they can't really bring out the big guns just yet, because some of their big guns are a little unstable. So we can't so we can't bring that out, like in that moment, because we need something a little bit more solid and together. I really, really, really felt bad for Greg during this arc, because you could see on his face that he wanted to help Steven. You could see that he wanted to help the gems, but he realizes that there's nothing he can do. And the way that he tries to protect Steven and then realizes, like, no matter what I do, he's always going to be involved in this because he is a gem. Like, even when he's talking to him about what happened with Rose, he's like, I don't know if this is my place to tell you this. I think this is something that they should be talking to you about. That's got to be very hard as a parent to not be able to talk to your child about something because it's not an area of expertise that you have. It's not something that you were even involved in, so you don't even have all the details. And it's like Steven is constantly getting bits and pieces of things, and unfortunately Greg is only able to give an even smaller bit and piece of everything that happened because Rose lied to him. I mean, Rose lied to everybody, as Pearl found out. That was kind of another thing that kind of like, I love the way Pearl crashed out, because this one, I think you can see even more the effects of Rose Quartz not being there. You can see how it's affecting the way that Greg is talking to his son, because he hasn't raised him, because he's not really able to raise him, because he's got these powers, he's got all this stuff going on that they can teach him how to use. But then you also get Pearl crashing out because the one thing that she always held on to and was able to hold on to was the fact that Rose was, she was Rose's confidant. And now she doesn't have that. That last little piece of her she had that no one else had is completely gone. And you also see Jasper crash out low key. As soon as she saw that that was that Steven's shield had Rose's symbol, immediately she was like, let's go. She was like, yeah, I'm gonna take you down, baby. And you could see like the light in her eyes because she never thought that she was gonna get a chance to go up against Rose. And it's just I don't know, it just, or she didn't think that she was gonna get a chance to go up against Rose in this moment. And it's just like, girl, I don't know, I just, listen, I love me some Jasper. That's my other thing. Love, 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 love me some Jasper. And I think it's because as soon as you see her, you get this sense of like, she is frightening. And I would not want to be on her bad side because she will beat me down. And there's nothing I can do about it. Like, what am I supposed to do? I just love Jasper as a villain because she has so many layers to her. Like, even the way that you see her immediately light up when she thinks that that's Rose. And she's kind of confused, like, why do you look like that? She is reading the rest of the crystal gems for filth. She is reading them for filth. And then you see the way that she thinks in the way that she speaks to Garnet, but then also in the way that once she doesn't have enough power to beat them, or she doesn't think that she has enough power to beat them, she immediately goes to fuse with Lapis. So I just love watching, even in that very short amount of time, the way that her character kind of like breaks down. And it's like, okay, we're going to play that game. This is how we're going to play it. I think it also shows how adaptable she is. Like, she's able to assess the situation and say, okay, I might not be able to fight them. So let me go ahead and get access to more power. So that way I can do what I need to do. I actually wrote a fan fiction about Jasper a couple of years ago, and I'm going to include the link in the video just in case y'all want to go read it. I mean, it's not super long, but it's fun. Now, I will say that the Garnet reveal is probably one of my favorite parts of this whole arc, like of this whole Stevenbomb. That's probably one of my favorite parts because it's like how happy she was to be back together. And then we get a chance to see how different Sapphire and Ruby are from each other. Because I feel like you could kind of put the pieces together, whatever. But it's like seeing the actual components, and like Ruby is freaking out. She's sitting there rocking herself, holding her head. Sapphire is just humming, and she's humming a song. Oh my God, she's humming a song from when they first came to Earth. But anyway, and I just love though that she's humming because she has faith that, Ruby is gonna find her. And she probably could see that Ruby was gonna find her. Oh my God, I just love that part so much. I love the way that when they come back together, the confidence is just like on 1,000. Like when they're separate, it's just like, ain't too much I can really do. I'm just kind of here just to be here. But then when they come together, it's beautiful. And the fact that they were going to wait to tell Steven until his birthday, and then they were going to introduce Ruby and Sapphire to him. It's just like, why are y'all keeping these secrets from this boy? This is why this boy gonna have some trust issues when he gets older. That's another thing I wanted to say about Steven too. I'm just gonna go back real quick. I love the way the Steven Universe future addresses Steven's issues. Like, this is something that absolutely comes back to bite them. Not this specific thing, but everything that they've done, everything that they've said to him, the way that he's always carried this weight on his shoulders. You can just hear in, like, literally he turns, anyway, I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm just gonna say, if you do watch the show, please go watch Steven Universe Future if you haven't. And if you have, oh my God, did you love it? It kind of got on my nerves at first, but once we got to the nitty gritty of it, I was like, you know what? This is my kind of carrying on. I've always kind of been on the fence about Lapis. Lapis is not exactly one of my favorite characters on the show, but I'm not gonna lie, when she said, I'm tired of being everybody's prisoner, now you're my prisoner, and everyone was just kind of standing there like, oh. And when Pearl said that could have gone worse, I said, you know what? I gotta give it up because Pearl is absolutely right. That could have been absolutely worse. And Garnet's like, oh no, it could have been better. Girl, listen, I think y'all gotta take what y'all gotta take at this point because Malachite was finna mess y'all up when Jack, because you know that was Jasper that did it. When was like when Malachite was like, and brought that water up and was chuckling, baby, Malachite was finna mess them people up. And listen, everybody made it out by the grace of God. But it did make me like Lapis, so I don't know. I still am on the fence about Lapis. I feel like I'm gonna have to do a full rewatch, and then I'll have more of like an actual opinion of her. Finally, what I loved like the most outside of the Garnet reveal was the sense of impending danger. You know how sometimes they can make it like Steven got on my nerves because he's always so happy go lucky, but you can feel that there's tension in the background. You know there's something big coming, not just because you heard it, but you see how focused the gems are on finding out what's going on. And finding a solution to the problem, finding a way to stop whoever's coming for them. And I love that the fact that it felt almost like eerie at times, because it was like sometimes it felt a little normal, then it kind of didn't. It caused chaos in the city, but then the lights came back on, and so yay, we're fine. So I just love the fact that it never stopped feeling like something is wrong. Even in the end, when we get kind of this like conclusion to it, it's not actually a conclusion. They're just putting a band-aid on the situation. And it's not even a band-aid that they put. It's a band-aid that someone else put. So they're not even in control of what happens. And then you still got to worry about the cluster. You still got like there's still so much to worry about. And I think that's why like I'm with Pearl and saying that could have gone worse. Like, girl, listen, did we have a plan? No, we did not. Are we gonna worry about it right now? No, we are not. Because baby, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we're just gonna have to figure it out as we go. Well, y'all, that is it for me today. I just really wanted to take a moment and talk about this because I've wanted to do some Steven Universe content for the longest time, but I wasn't really sure like where to start with it. And so where else to start but the Stevenbombs? I mean, I could have like started at the beginning, but I didn't want to because girl, I'm not gonna go episode by episode, you know? So if you like this video, then let me know in the comments and maybe we can do this again for the second Stevenbomb. We might even be able to make it a regular thing for the rest of them throughout the series. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss a video. And as always, I just want to take a quick moment to shout out my beautiful, lovely patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for being here for me. I cannot express how much I appreciate you and everything that you do for me. If you or somebody you know would like to join the Patreon, head on over to patreon.com/powerofg so that you can, support a creator like me, or you can just join for free so you can see what's going on, stay in the know. We do calendars every week so you know what's going on. We do a monthly content calendar, and we do charmed rewatches and once upon a time rewatches. We just introduced those. If you want to follow me on social media, you can find me everywhere if they call me Mr. G. TikTok, Instagram, pretty much wherever. I think even Blue Sky. So I cannot wait to see you there, and hopefully you love what you see. And with that, y'all, I'm going to go ahead, sign on off. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed our time together. Please remember to like the video, leave a comment. It helps me out greatly. And don't forget to subscribe if you like the content. So I will see y'all in the next video. And I hope that y'all have a great one. Bye.
We got the power. We got the power.